Good morning, it's good to see you. I knew from a very young age that I couldn't subscribe to a traditional Western life. I needed freedom. I needed the freedom of having nothing. To most of society looking at me from the outside, I have nothing. I'm technically homeless, with no assets in the traditional sense, and entirely alone. Many people look at me with pity, or worse, fear, because to them, I'm the worst case scenario. I'm the manifestation of what they spend their whole lives trying to avoid. But the truth is, I couldn't be happier. For me, true freedom isn't about how much you can accumulate in life. It's about not being pinned down by what society expects. Western society dictates we strive for a life of gathering stuff. You get your degree, the house, the partner, the investment portfolio, the things. You pile them up like a fortress around you and you call it security. You spend 40 years working, stressing and maintaining this perimeter, convinced that the bigger the fortress, the safer you'll be. The problem for some of us, though, is that this fortress feels more like a cage. It needs your constant attention, your money, your endless anxiety to keep it all standing. I realised from a very early age I didn't want a life guarding the pile of bricks. The idea terrified me. We can carry the crushing weight of expectations through life. We can anchor ourselves to a piece of dirt called property, and we tie our peace of mind to a volatile stock market, hoping by the time our knees give out, we'll have enough money in a bank account to finally enjoy our lives. We defer our fun, pushing it down the road to some hazy, promised future called retirement.
Not today, maybe tomorrow. I'm so sorry.
But time is the only real currency that actually matters. I didn't want to spend my years maintaining a house, mowing a lawn, paying property taxes, or worrying about a roof leak. I didn't want my mental energy consumed by keeping inanimate objects alive that don't love me back. I traded predictability for absolute freedom. When you don't own a roof, you can actually see the sky. This alternative life I have isn't about vacationing. It's about existing without a fixed place on a map. When you travel with nothing but a backpack at 60, you experience the world through an entirely different lens. You aren't a tourist escaping a stressful life back home, desperately trying to cram activities into a 2-week window before returning to the grind. You're a citizen of the world because the road itself is your home. I've learned that everything I actually need to survive, thrive and be completely happy can fit into a 40-litre backpack. I've learned that everything I actually need to survive, to thrive and be completely happy can fit into a single 40-litre backpack. Think about the gravity of that for a second. A few changes of clothes, a passport, a phone, a laptop and a GoPro. You feel light walking through an airport, a train station or a dusty bus terminal, knowing that everything you own in the world is strapped to your shoulders. If I don't like a city, I'll leave. If a country feels right, I stay until the visa runs out. I'm not looking at the world through the glass window of a tour bus or checking into a sterile luxury resort that might look the same in Cancun as they do in Bali. I'm in the fabric of it. I'm eating in the street stalls, talking to the locals, getting lost in the back alleys, and navigating transit systems in languages I don't speak. Because I don't have a house waiting for me, I'm forced to be entirely present exactly where I am, today. And I get the relationship question a lot. It's the one that makes people the most uncomfortable, I think. They ask, aren't you lonely? Don't you want a partner to share these memories with? We're conditioned from birth to believe that aging must be done in pairs, as if a romantic partner is a mandatory buffer against the harshness of the world. But choosing to live this alternative life single is a deliberate act of self-sovereignty. I love people. I value human connections deeply, but I love my autonomy more. When you travel solo at 60, you don't have to compromise on a single thing. There's no daily debate about where to eat or when to wake up or what country to visit next or how to budget your money. If I want to sit in a park in Delhi for 7 hours doing absolutely nothing, I'd do it. If I want to catch a midnight flight to Bali on a whim, there's no one to consult, no one to convince, no one to manage. Being single by choice at this stage of life isn't loneliness, it's an exquisite solitude. It forces you to become your own anchor, your own best friend. You discover exactly who you are when there's no one around to mirror your past or demand that you play a specific role. On the road alone, you aren't someone's spouse, someone's parent, or someone's former colleague. You're just you, an observer, moving through space and time. But let's be honest, this lifestyle isn't for everyone, and it certainly isn't a walk in the park. It takes a certain kind of grit to look at the standard Western dream, wave goodbye to it, and then walk directly into the unknown. There are days when your back hurts from a cheap mattress in a rented room or a long ride on an old bus. There are days when language barriers frustrate you to the point of exhaustion. And when you get a stomach bug for the third time in the same country, there are moments when you miss having a kitchen to make a snack whenever you like. But I also think comfort is dangerous. It numbs you a bit to the reality of existence. It makes the days bleed together until a decade passes and you can't remember 1 year from the next because nothing new ever happened. Having nothing at 60 means I'm fully awake. I feel the sting of the cold, the oppressive heat of the tropics, the anxiety of the unknown, and the absolute joy of a simple choice. I'm trading comfort for aliveness. I'm trading the slow, predictable decline of suburban retirement for a life of active engagement with the world. People often ask me what my long-term plan is. They want to know what happens when I get sick or what happens when I get even older and can no longer carry the backpack. My answer is always the same. What happens to the person with the big house and the big investments? They get old, they face health challenges, and they meet the end of their lives anyway. No amount of real estate, no premium healthcare plan, no pile of cash can buy you out of the human condition or grant you immortality. We all end up in the same place in the end. The only difference is how we spend the time leading up to it. I'd rather meet the end of life with a passport full of stamps, a head full of stories, and a mind stretched by travel than sitting in a pristine living room surrounded by expensive junk I can't take with me. I don't want to look back on my life and realise I spent my final precious years of health acting as a caretaker for my possessions. If you're sitting there right now, whether you're 50, 60 or beyond, and you feel like the walls of your life are closing in on you, know this: it is never too late to become a ghost to your old life. You do not need a fortune to do this. You don't need a co-pilot or a partner to validate your choices. You just need the courage to pack a single bag, walk out the front door and never look back. The world doesn't care about your age, your assets or your past. It only cares that you show up to look at it. There is an entire planet out there wanting to be explored, filled with people to meet, food to taste, and landscapes that'll take your breath away. And let me tell you, it looks incredibly beautiful when you're standing on the edge of it, carrying absolutely nothing at all. The secret to this lifestyle isn't about what you're running away from, it's about what you might find going forward, being proactive in life. It's about chasing the feeling of complete presence. When you have a house, your mind is always chained to it. You're thinking about the roof, the lawn, the bills, the neighbours, the community expectations. Your thoughts are anchored to an address. But when you detach from that, your mind becomes as fluid as the places you visit. You begin to realise that home isn't an address. Home is the space inside your own head when you're completely at peace with your choices. It's just so freeing. Think about the sheer amount of energy we spend throughout our lives worrying about what other people think. We stay in relationships that have died just to maintain the appearance of stability. We work jobs that drain our souls because we're terrified of what will happen if we stop. And the judgment you fear from society is just a ghost. Once you realise that, the cage door flies open. You can live in a van, you can hop from hostel to hostel. You can rent a tiny apartment in country that you've never heard of, and no one's going to stop you. The only person holding you back is the version of you that is still trying to play by the rules of a game you no longer want to win. People also think this is financial suicide, especially at my age. They wonder how you survive without a compounding index fund or a pension driving your choices. But when you radically downsize your life, your cost of living drops to a fraction of what it is in the Western world. You don't need a massive stream of passive income when your total monthly expenses are less than what you used to pay for property insurance and utilities. You learn the art of living in places where your money goes 3, 4, 5 times further, while offering a vastly higher quality of life, richer culture, better food. You realise that wealth isn't determined by the balance in your investment account. It's determined by the ratio of your income to your desires. If you desire very little, you're instantly rich. Living single on the road also teaches you a profound form of self-reliance. When something goes wrong, and it will, there's no partner to turn to and say, what should we do? You have to look in the mirror and figure it out yourself. You have to find the train station, deal with the lost luggage, navigate the medical clinic, or figure out where you're going to sleep tonight. And every single time you solve one of those problems on your own, your confidence grows. You remember that you're capable, resilient, and resourceful. You stop feeling like an ageing person who needs to be protected, and you start feeling like an explorer who can handle whatever the world throws at them. It keeps your brain sharp, your body moving, and your spirit alive in a way that sitting in a comfortable armchair watching television never could. So let go of the guilt. Let go of the societal pressure that says you need to leave an inheritance or own a home to be a respectable adult or settle down with someone just so you don't die alone. Your life belongs to you and you alone. It's not a story written by your parents, your children, your friends, or your culture. You are the ultimate author of it all. If you want that story to be wild, unpredictable, solo and free, then make that choice. Strip away the excess. Sell the things that are holding you down. Give up the illusions of security for the reality of experience. Pack that one bag. Step out into the open road and discover the freedom of having nothing.
And I guess it needs to be said, I fully understand that I'm in a very privileged position. The fact that I'm able to wander around Asia using YouTube as a means or a source to finance that. And, you know, the definition of nothing is relative. What I have is nothing compared to most people in Western society, but quite luxurious in relation to other people in different countries. You know, that's not lost on me. But I guess that's just about it for this one. As always, thanks very much for coming along for the ride. I hope you're well and happy in life and doing the things you want to do. Have a look at that.